We joke about it every week. It's been a recurring theme this year. Where is Miro? Christmas is his birthday, by the way. He turns 37 years old today. Why has he been missing from AEW television? Why does he appear so inconsistently? Is he hurt? Is he filming a television show? He was filming a television show for a few weeks early in the year. He hasn't been filming anything since then. I mean, maybe with his wife, but that's their business, and it wouldn't have anything to do with why he's not on TV. Has he been hurt? Yes, he was. He was hurt late last year. But he has been healthy for a long time. So where the hell has he been? The man has wrestled a grand total of 4 matches this year. Well, we have an update from Dave Meltzer that sheds some light on what has been going on with our old Bulgarian friend. He claims, according to this report, that in September, Tony Khan came to Miro with an idea that would build to a match for him at the Full Gear pay-per-view in November. And Miro did not want to do it. Whatever this idea was, allegedly he rejected the idea. I cannot confirm that the name of Meltzer's source rhymes with Konitan, but it sure sounds like it. So that's the claim from the AEW side. And my first thought was that he offered Miro a spot in the World Title Eliminator Tournament and probably a match with Ricky Starks in the finals at Full Gear. He probably would have gotten the spot that ultimately went to Ethan Page. Now that's just me speculating on what it could have been. As it turned out, the finals of that Eliminator got bumped off the Full Gear card to the Dynamite show the following Wednesday, which I think was Thanksgiving Eve. I really don't see what other match it could have been unless they put him in the TNT title match instead of Powerhouse Hobbs. So I'm glad things worked out the way they did because Hobbs got a pay-per-view match, and I'm glad they did something with Ethan Page, who they should be doing more with. I could also understand Miro being sour on the idea since they did the exact same thing with him last year. He went to the finals of the Eliminator Tournament. He lost to Bryan Danielson in a spot that was probably earmarked not for him, but for Jon Moxley, had he not checked himself into rehab first. I think it would have been Moxley and Danielson with a Moxley heel turn. We'll never know. But maybe he looked at this and just thought that it was a waste to be right back in the same spot that he was in the year before, if I'm right, and that's the idea. He may have looked at that and said, that's the same fucking thing that I was doing a year ago, and I go to the finals and I lose, and what good does that do me? Now, he was on the Forbidden Door card in June, and he lost in the All-Atlantic title 4-way. He was on the All-Out card on the winning team with Sting and Darby Allin against the House of Black. Outside of that, he has done nothing. And I see both sides of the argument here. On the one hand, why would Miro want to come back to be used in the same role that he was in before to put somebody else over if there was no other plan for him? And on the other hand, Miro is not Bret Hart with creative control for the last 30 days of his contract. If Tony Khan pitches an idea for you that's going to get you back on TV, which is where he should be, where does this guy get off thinking that he can just say, nah, I don't think so, and then continue to drop cryptic comments about AEW not using him? That makes it sound like he's just been completely forgotten about, and they've had no ideas for him. Whenever, Miro was on the red carpet with his wife, being interviewed, this was a couple of weeks ago, and they asked him, hey, what's the deal with you and AEW? When are we going to see you back on TV? And he made some comment to the effect of, well, it's not my call. The ball's in their court. I mean, you hear stuff like this, and you would think that he has legitimately just been forgotten about, that Tony Khan forgot that he even has this guy under contract. It sounds like that may not be the case. As is usually the case, the truth may lie somewhere in the middle. I tend to lean on the side of Tony Khan is paying you what I'm sure is very good money to not sit on your ass at home and play games on Twitch all day. If he has proposed a creative idea to use you on TV to get you a match on pay-per-view, then get your ass back to work and get in the ring. But again, we don't have the full story directly from Miro or from AEW. We're going by one news report and some cryptic comments. Now, we also have Rusev's wife, or Miro's wife, I still call him Rusev. Miro's wife, CJ Perry, the former Lana, doing a radio interview on the Mike Wenmacher show. I have no idea who Mike Wenmacher is, but Mike Wenmacher has a show. And CJ was on his show this past Tuesday to promote the Surreal Life reboot that she is in on VH1. I didn't even know there was a Surreal Life reboot. Apparently Dennis Rodman is in it. Frankie Muniz is in it from Malcolm in the Middle. Stormy Daniels. Oh, this is quite the cast of characters they've assembled here. She went on the show and she said that Rusev Day will never die. It's always going to be around. The kids are going to want to sing it. And I'm sure it will make a return in WWE at some point. Rusev, well, whatever he shows up as, whatever frickin' name or gimmick or character he returns as at some point, in WWE is going to be iconic. Let's be honest, we know that everyone always returns back to WWE at some point. What a stupid fucking thing to say. If your husband is trying to get booked on television, not by WWE, but by the company he's actually currently employed by. Especially if this report is true that Tony Khan did pitch an idea to bring him back and he turned it down, for his wife to go out there and flat out say, he'll be back in WWE one day and it'll be this glorious thing. If I'm Tony Khan, why the hell would I want to invest in this guy after that? Why would I want to build anything around him? Look at the size of the AEW roster. They barely have time for all the other people they have. I sure as hell would think twice before I use this guy in any kind of major angle now. I mean, you have MJF going on TV and talking about the bidding war of 2024 and jolly old St. Nick Khan, but that's his gimmick. And even you could say there, you know what, tone it down a little bit, maybe not talk about WWE so much, but that's been part of his gimmick now for over a year. If you don't like the creative that they are pitching for you, you don't get to turn around then and play victim that you're being wasted by sitting on the sidelines. You could say no if you want, you could object, but you can't then turn around and say, oh, they don't use me. I don't know why they won't use me. I'm healthy, I'm ready. But they won't use me. I don't know, guys. You should talk to them. Maybe Lana just wants to go back to WWE with him so they can have sex in the tank again, like they did at WrestleMania. I don't know. Miro tweeted Meltzer after the Observer report came out. He tweeted Meltzer on Thursday, and he asked, what happened between January and June? And he did not deny the report that Tony Khan presented him with an idea coming out of All Out in September. So I read that as, what about the first half of the year when Tony Khan wasn't using me? And that's a valid point. But let's jump back in time here and see what was happening in the first half of this year. Back in March, Fightful reported that AEW re-signed Miro to a 4-year contract extension that would keep him with the company through at least the beginning of 2026. They said that the deal was agreed upon late last year, but took a while before it was finally signed, but it was signed and it was a done deal. Now, at that point, he had not wrestled since Full Gear last year against Danielson. He was dealing with a hamstring injury, but Fightful was told at the time, now this is March, Fightful was told at the time that he's been good to go for a while now. Around that same time, though, is when he posted photos on social media from his apartment in New York that he was living in for a few weeks while he shot scenes for that East New York pilot for CBS. So we know that around that period of time, he was filming something, at least for a few weeks in New York City. So then in June, he gave an interview to Fightful where he talked about re-signing with the company. He said, they wanted me to sign a long-term deal for a reason, and I signed long-term for a reason. And he laughed when he said this. He said, it's a place where I can be creatively free, and now the ball is in my court. My boss, Tony Khan, let me have that and said, hey, go do you. I feel that played a big role in my decision to be here. Everybody watching AEW knows that I am a world champion. I know it. I would be shortchanging myself and TK to say that I'm not. I walk around with that mentality as well. I don't want to sit around and collect a check. I want to create and evolve and become world champion. Before that, I'm focusing on the All-Atlantic Championship, which is going to be even bigger than the World Championship. Well, it's nice to have goals. But again, he was talking about this and promoting Forbidden Door. He said, I love this place. Tony Khan believes in me. He lets me do me and doesn't have to be involved in every single thing. I love that. I love working with him. I love this company. I love the stacked roster. Like 99% of these people I'm fighting now is for the first time. I love those challenges. I love every single time I step foot in the ring. Sometimes I have 30 to 45 seconds, but I make the most of it every single time. That's what it's all about. It's not just about having great matches or having 20 to 30 minute matches that are great. We only have so much television. It's about what you do with the 30 to 45 seconds that you have. This is where I excel the most. I gave Tony Khan a discount. That's on that first contract. I gave him a discount and said, Tony, I will sign for this money because it's the pandemic. But after that year and a half, we're coming strong. I knew that he was signing the wrong guy. He was signing the Twitch guy. He's basing his opinions on my Twitch, and that's where the whole thing with Kip Sabian started. I knew that wasn't me. That's just not who I am. I knew once the year and a half was over, I was going to show him who I am and what I'm capable of, and we're going to sit down and talk like men for men's money. That's exactly what happened. In that same interview, he said, I feel great now. I got my hamstring a little tweaked. Then I got the call and had to fly to do the Orange Cassidy match. I had this great opportunity for the world title. I took care of Orange Cassidy in a hurry, but I ripped my hamstring even more. Then knowing I have to come back a week later to fight Bryan Danielson was maybe my biggest challenge so far in my career. Thankfully for Dr. Bo Hightower in New Mexico, he got me up on my feet. I was barely walking and had a week to prepare for that match. I was with him every day, a few hours a day, just so I can rehab that hamstring to be able to walk. And eventually, a week later, he said, it was okay. We had the Bryan match. After that match, though, my hamstring was done. It was just screaming, I want to rest. That's what happened. I needed some time off. I thought I was going to come back around January. That's why we did those vignettes. Unfortunately, when you fall out of the wheel of AEW, our roster is so stacked with great guys, great competitors, that I can't be offended by it. Then I had a few acting gigs in the meantime that I got taken care of, so I had my time off. I loved my time doing that, but now I'm back, and I want more than I had before. So this was all said in June. So to answer the question that Miro posed to Dave, since Dave never did answer him, he filmed some vignettes thinking that he was going to be back. By then, his hamstring should have been healed, but Tony didn't have a spot for him. So he went and he filmed some stuff. And he was happy enough to sign a long-term contract extension with them in March. And by June, he said that he was done with all the extracurricular stuff and he was ready to come back. And that's when Tony put him in the All-Atlantic title match at Forbidden Door. So there was absolutely a period of time earlier this year where Tony Khan could have been using him and he wasn't. But again, we don't know if there were ideas laid out for him that he rejected or not. Who's to say that he wasn't pitched something back in April and said, no, I don't think so. I don't want to do that. He should have been on TV, but he wasn't. But he was happy enough to sign for 4 more years. And yet, his wife is going around doing interviews talking openly about him going back to WWE one day. Oh, how great it'll be. It sounds to me like they're frustrated, and she thinks maybe that going out and saying that might light a fire under Tony Khan to get him to put her husband back on TV. But if I'm Tony Khan and I'm hearing stuff like that, again, why would he want to focus on Miro when he has got at least a dozen other people who want to be there, who could take his spot? In June, Miro said he loves AEW. He loves the freedom that Tony Khan gives him. But now his wife is talking about how everybody always ends up back in WWE. What the fuck? There's a disconnect here somewhere. If it's a matter of Miro not wanting to do jobs, unless he has creative control written into his contract, and Tony Khan would be an idiot for agreeing to that, then that's just something he's going to have to deal with. He's going to have to accept. I like Miro, and it's good to be confident in your ability, but he's not fucking Brock Lesnar. If he's uncomfortable with what's being proposed for him, get on the phone with Tony Khan, or get in a room together and hash it out. I don't understand this. A whole year has gone by now. What is going on here? You signed a new contract. You were happy enough to sign a new long-term contract. You're healthy. You said you don't want to just sit around and collect a paycheck. Sounds to me like the ball's in his court, just like he said in that interview. But if you sign a 4-year extension for more money to stay with one company, it is disrespectful to go out there either directly or through your wife and openly talk about how iconic it's going to be when you go back to the other company. If it were me, I wouldn't want to waste my time on that person either.